The political year ended with a review of the Harambee Prosperity Plan, in which the president and his team got to highlight their successes in 2017. We asked economic analyst Claudia Boamah to unpack this for us.
President Hage Geingob has introduced the Harambee Prosperity Plan. Do you think it's a plan? Do you think it's something that will take us out of economic recession and lead to a brighter future for Namibians?
That's exactly what it is. It's a plan, not a remedy or a cure-all for Namibia's economic woes. But I think what I personally prefer about this particular plan is that, for once, it's not a plan that is expected to be materialized in a very distant future when the person or the architect of that plan is probably no longer with us or no longer in power. At least this plan is going to expire, I think, in 2020, around the time when he would still be in a position where we would be in a position to also question and hold him accountable for the progress that's been made. So I prefer these short-term, medium-term type of plans. And so far, it looks like it's something that's customized for the specific needs of this country.
Okay, do you think that we made progress during 2017? How would you gauge that progress that we made? Do you think we're doing well? Do you think we're on track, or more needs to be done?
There's always more to be done, yes. But we should also give credit where it's due. From the progress report that I've read, I've seen that for the most part, the preliminary stages of the plan has been executed with regards to things like fact-finding and investigations and just assessing where the country is. I think that part has been done. So I think I would express satisfaction maybe this time next year if we're able to see, okay, fine, 2017, 2018, we assessed where the country was. That was satisfactory in terms of giving us a progress report. But going forward, we would like to see, okay, what action was taken in 2018, 2019 as a result of the fact-finding that was done in the previous year. So I would say so far so good. And also some things have actually gone beyond just establishing what the layout of the land is. Some projects have actually begun. Certain bills have actually been tabled in Parliament. Certain policies are actually under discussion. So for the beginning phase of it, I can give them the government a pat on the back.
What are some of the highlights from the Harambee Prosperity Plan that you think are really progressive?
For one, I would say the momentum that public-private partnerships seem to be gaining. At the end of the day, this is a developing country, and as the very words express, we have certain things that we need to accomplish in terms of trying to achieve an advanced country status. So when we look at the government spending, and sometimes we criticize that kind of expenditure, it doesn't change the fact that those projects are necessary in our long-term goals of advancement. So I'm pleased that public-private partnerships are taking such a center stage now with the Harambee Prosperity Plan, with the new NDP 5, because the burden is now being shifted from public coffers. It's being shifted from being placed on our tax dollars. And they're exploring ways in which they can rather invite the private sector. And another thing, a key feature of the private sector is just that they just tend to be more efficient because of the motivation that they have for being in existence. So I'm glad that we're still going to be able to achieve, or according to the plan, should be able to achieve certain developmental agendas, such as the development of infrastructure. But now there's a key focus not on where we're going to fit that expenditure in the budget, but we're rather looking to making partnerships with the private sector so that can be materialized. So there are a lot of highlights, but for me, I think that was something that really stood out.
What do you make of our economy being so dependent on government, like institutions, public enterprises? Is that a good thing going forward? Or?
No, which is why that PPP part stood out for me. It's unsustainable. We do not have large enough sources of revenue in this country to be consistently dependent on the government. And it's come a little bit late, 27 years, you know, trial and erroring along the way, but eventually, at least, we've gotten to a point where we recognized that the economy cannot be driven by the government alone, and by implication of these national plans, you're actually seeing that it's not just that we're trying to shift away from the government's involvement or the state's involvement in driving the economy. We're actually trying to put a greater responsibility on private sector and on private involvement in driving the country's economy. So yeah, it's not sustainable to rely solely on the government or primarily on the government, and I'm glad that that realization has taken place and that policies that are being formulated now are in that direction.
I asked her how the economic downgrade will affect our pockets this year.
Obviously, the candidate that's won, Cyril Ramaphosa, seems to be market-friendly. It was long since touted that if he was the eventual winner of the ANC Congress elections, or whatever they're calling it, that he would be, he would inspire business confidence that has long since been waning in that country. South Africa and Namibia, we share the same, our currencies are equivalent, and so a market-friendly person winning this particular race, we've already seen that the rand is now trading below 13 rands to the dollar. So that's beneficial for Namibians. This year we saw that imports had decreased significantly. While that's beneficial for our trade balance, it was also a reflection on the suppression of consumption in the country, that people just weren't able to afford goods. So yeah, you personally might benefit by being able to do a little bit more online shopping. Also, the credit ratings downgrade, that has implications for the country's interest rates, borrowing costs. And as confidence in the country recedes, then the flexibility, or let me say the ease with which interest rates can be brought down, evaporates. It becomes a little bit difficult. So whereas when the downgrade had happened and we were still uncertain about who the champion of ANC would be, now one of those uncertainties has been cleared up, and the possibility of interest rates coming down next year, I don't want to sound optimistic, but now it's possibly on the table now. There are a lot of factors involved we don't need to delve into right now, but Cyril Ramaphosa winning the ANC Congress was one of the factors that plays into easing of monetary policy in South Africa. And I think our policies, our financial systems are so intertwined that you can see if that's what's happening in South Africa, then it's most likely what's going to carry through to Namibia. So yeah, we can also start spending beyond our means again, I guess.
Oh, hallelujah. Well, thank you very much for coming to the studio. It was awesome chatting with you, enlightening. I'm sure everybody has learned a little more.
It's been a pleasure.